Here we go. Well, we have a new element to the whole war in Ukraine, and this is really a topic I try to stay away from, to be honest with you, because so many people cover this already. But this is an interesting element that I think I want to talk about and sort of get into because I've already been covering North Korea. I don't think many people thought this would happen, where North Korea now has essentially, I want to say, befriended the Russians. Like, Russia's always been cool with North Korea, China, Russia, North Korea, but I think we've elevated to a whole new level, where North Korea is willing to take a train to Russia, bulletproof train, and actually discuss matters of selling artillery rounds to Russia. This is a pretty big deal considering, once you start to add in, we're sending you technology, Russia now could be giving technology to North Korea, and that's where many people are afraid. Trade for trades, and North Korea now, with this strategic meeting and strategic trading, could be a very big deal for them and very bad for everyone else, especially in the region in the Pacific. Now, we're going to go ahead and speculate a little bit. We're going to watch this clip. What I also find interesting is that North Korea, it wouldn't be out of the question for them to actually put some boots on the ground, considering that country has zero combat experience. The last time I think they've been in combat was back in, I don't know, 1950s maybe? Like legit combat. So let's go ahead and watch this clip and see what is happening and see what we can learn.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will visit Russia for a summit with President Vladimir Putin, the country's confirmed on Monday. The pair will meet for what could be a landmark summit amid Moscow's deepening isolation over the war in Ukraine. The Kremlin says Kim will visit Russia in the coming days at the invitation of Putin, while North Korean state news agency KCNA said the two would meet and have a talk without elaborating. The summit is likely to take place on either Tuesday or Wednesday in the far eastern city of Vladivostok. Residents there seemed intrigued by the prospect of his arrival in the city.
Now, obviously, these clips right here, they're probably going to be a little fabricated. Like, look, people, the Russians are not dumb. All of a sudden, now you have, we're working with North Korea. Like, what is happening?
North Korea is such an isolated country. Maybe they will be friends with us, but not likely with the US.
Both Russia and North Korea bare their teeth to the world and can stand up for themselves. So there is something in common.
North Korea is one of the few countries to have openly supported Russia since the invasion of...
Keep in mind, you are not allowed to discredit anything happening with their whole military operation going on in Ukraine, or their special operation. So, what you see there, again, it's almost like they're turning into North Korea themselves.
Of Ukraine last year, and Putin pledged last week to, quote, expand bilateral ties in all respects in a planned way by pooling efforts. Kim rarely travels abroad, and when he does, it's often shrouded in secrecy and security. His last trip abroad in 2019 was also to Vladivostok for his first summit with Putin. Officials and analysts have said a Kim-Putin summit would likely focus on military cooperation and, possibly, a deal to supply arms. The United States has said talks for North Korea to provide Russia with more weapons are advancing, despite repeated denials from...
So that really is the biggest issue here, is that now North Korea has entered into the combat realm, being able to test equipment, being able to test their forces, being able to test their logistics strain. Because again, when you talk about North Korea, all the implications are, well, they are the hermit kingdom. Yeah, they're bad, but what are they really going to do? No. I don't like this notion that we're not taking them serious. Now, I know it's kind of a meme at this point, or a joke, that the leader of North Korea is taking this train to where he needs to be, this bulletproof train that they keep hyping up. This was a policy that his father put in place, that North Koreans use trains. It's a weird policy, but again, I'm pretty sure his father also hit a perfect game of 18 rounds of golf or something like that. So they have a lot of odd things going on over there. Now, something else I also want to talk about a little bit here is, again, it wouldn't be out of the question for ground forces to actually submit themselves or put themselves into the war in Ukraine. Now, is it likely to happen? Probably not, but it could happen. The reason why I say it could happen is because you do have Africans who were willing to fight under the Wagner banner, to fight actually in Ukraine in the name of Russia to take back Ukraine. So it's not out of the question. And I see your comments over there about the bulletproof train. Will it happen? Who knows? But the big implication here now is that North Korea could be causing up a little bit of stir in the Pacific. Yes, we're talking about Ukraine, but ultimately what it leads to is what's going on over here in the Pacific. Understand this. North Korea is a massive problem for all these neighboring countries because although Putin wants to work with North Korea, what he really wants are artillery rounds. Artillery is a massive component and aspect to the war in Ukraine. That's all you hear about is artillery. I found an interesting article talking about the actual artillery capabilities, and it sort of gives you an insight as to how big the arsenal is for North Korea. North Korea maintains nearly 6,000 artillery systems, which is a lot, within range of major South Korean population centers, which could be used to take out thousands in just an hour. Even without resorting to chemical or nuke attacks, researchers assessed the magnitude of this threat across 5 attack scenarios, using estimates of the number of North Korean artillery systems, the population densities of potential target areas. Let's go down here. The strike scenarios assessed were 5 minutes against a major industrial target, 1 minute along the DMZ, 1 minute against downtown Seoul, 1 hour along DMC, and 1 hour against downtown Seoul. Estimated total casualties from the attacks is 4,500 to 200,000. They got artillery rounds, and Russia knows that. So why not be friends with them? But again, look, North Korea is they're not just looking for money. They're looking for technology. They're looking for strategy to implement their technology. Which, unironically, if you think all of this just so happens, North Korea also unveils their really epic customized submarine that you already know they're asking Russia for help with, because they're also asking for naval drills. Look, you can give a country a submarine, but if you don't know how to use it, it's worthless. So North Korea wants to know how to use these things in the proper manner.
North Korea unveiled its first operational tactical nuclear attack submarine, state media said on Friday. The boat, named Hero Kim Kanok, has been assigned to the fleet that patrols the waters between the Korean Peninsula and Japan, North Korean outlets reported. So what is the new vessel, and what does its launch mean for the reclusive country's navy? In a speech at the sub's launch ceremony, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said it would become one of the main, quote, underwater offensive means of the naval force.
Which, again, North Korea is smart enough to know that if you have submarines, even if they're not as effective, they're still a major threat, and you still have to take it serious. I mean, even the United States puts a lot of emphasis on their submarines, even deploying them into areas and threatening, hey, look, we got submarines in the area. You don't know where we are, but we could use them. And so, again, with North Korea having these sub capabilities, now you're taking away from what's really going on in the South China Sea. It works out for China. It works out for Russia. It takes away assets from the United States. This is a very tactical and strategic move from North Korea.
North Korea's navy has historically been dwarfed by its land forces and overshadowed by its rapidly advancing ballistic missile program. But over the past year, it has moved to boost its navy with new nuclear weapons, including an underwater drone and warships.
Somebody left a really good comment here. I figured the North Koreans would do this months ago. Kim must feel very secure in his place domestically. This also means the Russians are feeling good about their logistics situation. Well, 2 things to break down. Number 1, North Korea knows no one can do a thing about North Korea. The second you get involved with North Korea, like Afghanistan would be a joke compared to what North Korea would be. Because if you get involved with North Korea, you get involved with China and Russia. China needs North Korea to be there as a land buffer from South Korea and other assets. That's why China right now is sort of messing with Vietnam to ensure that we don't become political partners with Vietnam, to make sure we don't put the military in Vietnam, which is happening right now. And your second part there, Russia feeling good about their logistics situation. I don't know if there's quite an implication about that. I do think Russia is trying to outsource and look for anyone with artillery. We will become friends with you, and then we will even help you out. So really, Russia gets a good deal here with, you're buying artillery shells, but also now we can train and work with you, and you're making other people worry in the region who don't like us. Because remember this, Russia's a massive country. The other side of Russia is just near where all the action is. Right over here, okay? So North Korea causing a disturbance in this territory near Japan, South Korea, that's a good thing for Russia, bad thing for us.
Analysts say the new vessel appears to be a modified Soviet-era Romeo-class submarine, which North Korea acquired from China in the 1970s and began producing domestically. Shin Sun-ki is a research fellow at the Korea Institute.
Now, the whole thing is this. They said they purchased the submarine back in the 70s, but one thing North Korea is really good at, as much as we love to hate on them and make fun of them, and North Korea does deserve a lot of that, they have time. They have all the time on their hands because, again, they can literally do whatever they want. No one's going to do a thing about it. And unfortunately, we're waiting and waiting and waiting until it's too late. Because what do you do with a population that's so brainwashed and willing to fight anyone who's the enemy of North Korea? And guess what? Everyone's the enemy of North Korea unless you're going to buy our artillery rounds. In that case, Russia's North Korea's best friend. So, yeah, that's what's going on. North Korea seems to be joining the fight. All you have to do is derail the bulletproof train. Yeah, I've thought about that, but who knows? Yeah, that's what's happening. North Korea joining the fight in Ukraine through artillery rounds, and who knows, maybe they will send some boots on the ground, or at least try to get some training from what's happening, because North Korea, they don't have the greatest military, they don't have any combat experience, but what they do have is time and the ability to train and the ability to learn, sort of like what China's doing right now with Taiwan. So yeah, hope you guys learned something. I'm going to be posting this live stream. Please comment on the posted video. I love to see all your guys' comments. It helps me out a lot. And we'll see you later. Thank you guys for being here. It means a lot to me. Thank you.